It's one of those things. It's like a gangbanger who has a son. He doesn't want his son to be a gangbanger.
Exactly.
You know, that's the theory. You want him to be better than me.
Let me ask you this. Do you get satisfaction when you tell somebody those pitfalls and then they watch out for those pitfalls?
Yes.
That makes you feel good,
That makes
right?
you feel good.
That makes you feel like all the stuff you did, it's like, all right, cool. Like, at least I can tell somebody about it.
Welcome to No Chill with Gilbert Arenas. I'm Mike Botticella right over there. I gotta say his name because he won't do it. Gilbert Arenas. We're joined today, Darren Collison. Thanks for joining us.
Yep, thank you.
And Gil, we're here in the lab, Pros Vision. We took our show on the road because we talk about it a lot, but today we gotta show it. So this space, Pros Vision, it was a vision, indeed. We're at the Ethica headquarters here in Orange County. And exactly what you're doing, that's what we wanted to get into today.
Yeah.
So take us all the way back. When did this start? It starts with an idea, right?
Right.
You were actually in your playing days, so you're in that player mode, and then you got inspired. So what happened?
Yeah, no, it was pretty much my last year in the NBA. And, I'm a big, observer and watching like guys train and how much does it translate, from their work to the actual game. And, sometimes you see like players, they work 2-3 times a day, they're working relentlessly, but then when the game comes, they don't really perform the way they work. So my biggest challenge is trying to see how close we can get to the games. And I want to like design like a training company to get close to that and have players work and simulate the stuff that they see during the games to on the court. And it's going thus far. I started last year, March. And man, we just happened to get player after player within the SoCal, community. And, my guys, Sean, Calvin, and Paris, who have been good helping me work, we've been doing a good job thus far. And, we never looked back since.
And that's what you just said. It's the team involved. I know you're at the forefront of it, but there's the other guys behind the scenes because you got to take that idea and bring it to life.
Right.
So to talk about them, at what point do you sort of hand off that trust or know like they're going to fill in the gaps on what you started out from?
Well, most of the guys that we work with are professional players, not just the NBA, but overseas. And you can't train nobody if you don't know what you're really talking about or have experience. And, not trying to throw shade at any other trainers, but, I just feel like the training is a little bit more exclusive and a little more better. So I put those guys on my staff and I trust them. So like if I'm not here, I trust them that they're gonna give them the same amount of work if I was here. And we talk about it every single day. Each player, we may spend like 5 to 10 minutes on what we can do to improve this player, watch game film. We may talk to the high school coach, college coach, and we just try to simulate as much as we can. So like in the off season, when they're done, they already know what they're getting to during the regular season, so.
Hey, that's what my biggest thing is when I came back and started, looking around that, translating what you guys are practicing into the game.
Right.
And for the most part, most of those kids that were training, it didn't translate.
For sure.
So you sit there and you try to watch people's workout like, there we go. You don't do that in the game.
For sure.
You're doing point guard stuff right now. In the game, you're shooting guard and you actually never touch it and they're making you come off screens.
For sure.
And you don't know how to do that because you never trained it.
For sure.
So then I started looking at the trainers themselves.
Right.
Realize 90% of the trainers are just in it for the money.
Yeah.
They're in it for the money. They got better at basketball when they were actually done. So then it became YouTube trainers where, I watch you move, I practice it, I teach it. Well, yeah, that's good, but because you actually never done it in the game, you don't even know if it actually works.
For sure.
So you're giving these kids all these tools and never actually applied them.
For sure.
So, if you became this dribbling expert, when you were done playing and you're giving this kid all these dribbling moves and you never translated to see if it actually works.
Yeah.
And these kids is like, yo, I'm spending $1,000 with you a month and I can't get past my defender.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
And they don't care too. And they don't care. And kind of to G's point, it was like where I feel like we could be different is like we already made the money we need to make. So now it's about the player. And to me, we get satisfaction out of a player's improvement. We don't get satisfaction of how much we get paid because we don't need it financially. So like to Gilbert's point, like, you know, for me in my career, what I experienced, you know, I had a chance to play on the ball a lot and off the ball. And I remember playing with CP the year that I played with the Clippers. The summer before I played with CP, I was doing a whole lot of pick and rolls. Then when I actually got there and played with him, those pick and rolls were like limited in the beginning of the season. So, you know, I had my time where I played pick and roll, but in order to play more minutes to play with CP, I had to play off the ball. So throughout the season, I literally changed up my workout, you know, resume and just started working more on corner shots. Because that's where I was getting the shots at. You know, I didn't like it, but if I want to stay on the court, that's where I was gonna get more of my shots. And I just started to see a change in my minutes and everything just starting to improve. So when I look at players now that we train, it's like most of these players, they have an idea of who they want to be, but the coach has a different idea of who they should be. And you can't be successful if you're not on the court. So there you go.
Yeah.
And what you said, I don't want to throw shade. Let him do that, actually. But it's not disrespect. You're just calling it for what it is. That as a player, you got to survive. So if I have to adjust my game, I have the ability. I got to tap into that, but I also got to be able to survive and stay on the court.
But I mean, but you still got to be realistic with yourself, you know. And you know, at a certain age, you don't really know much. You know, you still have NBA players that struggle with situational stuff where you put them in a game and, well, no, this is not what you're gonna do today. You're gonna do this, and they have to adjust, and they can't because they never was put in that situation.
For sure.
Like whenever I went into the summer training as a shooting guard. So all my routines and all my drills are shooting guard stuff. Never point guard
even
stuff.
when you played the point guard position most of the time. Oh, wow.
If I play the point guard, so I don't need to train. You know, so all my regimen, all my drills, if I put kids to drill, it's all shooting guard drills.
Wow.
Coming off screens, backdooring, flaring, all that, because at some point, because I was a scoring guard, if we got a pick and a pure point guard came and he ran the team better than I am, I'm on the verge of getting moved.
That's smart.
No matter how much I average, at some point they have to make room for this person because he's valuable to everyone.
Wow.
But how do you get to that space with a kid? Because you're thinking, if okay, I'm developing him as a point guard. I'm gonna make them a master at that. You're not thinking, I'm gonna also teach him another position.
I think you could do a little bit of both. I think what G said, like he even though he worked on his shooting techniques or shooting guard techniques, he added to his game. So now he's more dangerous as an off-ball threat. The way the game is being played right now is kind of to what he alluded to with Steph. Like you can't just be on the ball. You got to be able to play off the ball. So he's a little bit ahead of his time. But now that's how they play. So I think players now, like these young players, they got to understand that you don't need the ball to be dangerous. You can play without the ball to be dangerous. And when you don't have the ball, can you still be effective on the court? And that's where we're trying to understand, help these young guys to understand, like, look, when you come here, we're gonna work a lot about on-ball stuff, and you got the dribbling stuff, and you got the split and the pick and roll, but can you come off a screen and know how to get your footwork down and shoot? Can you run the floor when somebody else is throwing you the ball? Because as you guys know, the point guard is not bringing the ball up. You got bigs. Look at Bam from Miami. He's bringing the ball up. So you got to be able to know how to play off the ball.
That's what I was gonna bring up. What you did was go from the point to the two. How about the other positions to the point? That seems like actually way more dangerous.
Yeah, but I mean, as just players, you know, I remember when like advanced coaches back in the day is like, yo, y'all got to learn every position. To us, we was like, man,
ain't touching no exactly.
We ain't learning all those positions. Now that is the game. That is the game. You know, they seemed crazy back then. Now you need to know all the positions.
Crazy, right?
Because if your big man gets the ball and takes off, you got to know how to run a lane or run down the middle. And, you know, so the game's evolved, you know, because players has gotten better. Players gotten bigger. Players gotten wiser, stronger. We just got to get the players that only watch highlights and say, yo, those are 2% plays. You're gonna have highlights, and that's rare.
Mm-hmm.
You got to learn. You got to have a 98% basketball game.
Yeah.
And that stuff you see and turning around, those are rarity plays.
Yeah.
You don't make a whole training session on this. You know what I mean? So you got to understand that basketball, for the most part, is basic.
Yeah.
Get to the spots, score this, and then your natural ability is going to do all that stuff that we try to capture and we get oohs and ahs. I said, that's natural ability.
Yeah.
He has all those tools, but he's only unleashing them because he's been like someone came, okay, go.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, some of the trainers who never played on that level got to understand that I in and out cross and went by. I did that off a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
I was in and out and crossing, and I seen him getting ready to jump, and I hit him with the cross and went by. That wasn't the planned move.
Exactly.
I can't plan like I'm going to do it. I'm going to come down and spin and shoot.
Nah,
get that shit snatched out of there.
For sure.
You think he would come down with some pre-made meals?
And it's so funny because, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, G, maybe you, Darren, D. Will, were like considered the big point guards around that time. Mm-hmm. I might be missing somebody else.
J Kid.
All you guys knew how to post at the guard position. You'd be surprised. None of the big guards that we have know how to post at the guard position, because what trainers are doing is like, you have to be a 2, you have to be a 3. Like, you have to be this in order to be good. And what G is saying is, no, like, you can add to your game, you react, but you don't have to be anything. Why box these players in? So like, even with our 7th, 8th graders, and parents be looking at us like, you sure you want my kid to post? But we're trying to get them to understand, like, when they get to that level, they know how to feel comfortable in the post position. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't a post player at all, but I played against guys that knew how to post, and I saw their moves and what worked for them. So we try to do that with our big guards, and we try to emulate that as best way we can.
But I think what that was at that time, putting ones in the post, and now the game has evolved. So coaches are saying, no, we're going to make this all up and down.
That was the evolution. The evolution was, our 5-man is going against Shaq. He don't have the advantage. I have a little guy on me. So if we're trying to get this double, put me in the post.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to come in double. Now we can get the swing y'all all talk about.
Yeah.
And then when did that change though? At what point? They're saying they want to take a speedy guard and just let's get up and down.
When it changed back?
Yeah.
When the posting guards stopped. When
Exactly.
they left the league. You know what I mean? Once they left the league, so like somebody like Luka, James Harden, Westbrook, John Wall. Y'all got CJ McCullough sit on the post. What are you gonna do right here? I'm this close to the rim. You gonna double or I'm getting the basket. So the reason I went in as the post is when I had them little fast guards that sit there and press me all day. And now you compromising.
For sure.
and so it's like, you know what? This is what we're gonna do. Pass the ball. We're gonna call one down. I'm gonna get it in the post and beat you up in the post so they can put a shooting guard on me. Now I got the foot speed.
Exactly. And what you're doing now is you're giving yourself more playmaking opportunities, not just one set thing. And to go back to your question, I think posting is a distinct, trait now, like, because not a lot of people are posting, but you need to post every now and then in the game. Like, you look at the Lakers, LeBron and AD are still posting. You know what I mean? So it's okay. You can post every now and then. Like, you don't have to do it like at a heavy dose, but every now and then, if you really need a bucket and a good bucket and you got like a mismatch with a big guard, go down the post. And the play doesn't necessarily have to be for the big guard. It could be for like something like as a decoy to set up a play on the weak side, so.
Yeah, when you're sitting there thinking about it, it was like, I remember I had to guard Andre Miller in the post. Half the game he set in the post. Like, you talking about a crafty guy, he set in the post half the game on me. J Kid.
He's thinking on the other end. But
I'm thinking about all of them.
Man.
Gary Payton.
Man.
I did a switch, because Gary Payton was posting me up so much. I switched, put the big man on him, Eric Dampier. He backed Eric Dampier down. Bop, 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 spent,
Power
layup.
dribble, yeah.
I'm like, what? Wait, what? Who does that?
I was getting abused so bad by big bro Darren, B. Diddy. So bad he was humming a music tone as he was posting me up. And I'm like, yo, if this is not disrespectful, but I could not do nothing about it.
Because no one else can hear but you.
I think the game has went away from natural ability. Like it's like you're trying to force something that's not
For
there.
sure. I understand where you're
You know,
going.
you're trying to, like you're looking at one team that has the number 1 shooter, number 2 shooter, number 3 shooter, and they can interchange. And then you got number 7, 8, 12 out of the top 15 on one team. So when you're sitting there looking at an algorithm of shooting threes and this, you can't make it for everybody else because out of the top 15 shooters, 7 are on one team.
Yeah.
So their percentage is gonna be different.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So it's like, well, if you only shoot 35%, this and this, that's not 35%. Well, if I'm shooting 6 for 7, and you shooting 7 for 7, and then he's allowed to shoot, and he's open 12, yeah, of course that brings us down to 35% that make us look good. But no, he's the shooter who's don't supposed to be shooting is actually bringing the percentage down. You know what I mean? So, when you look at what's going on, it's like in the NBA, the people who are making the calls aren't NBA experts.
Yeah.
They're number crunchers.
Yeah.
So basically, all the new owners that's bought these teams are crunching. They're number crunchers.
Yeah.
They're, Wall Street, all these guys, billionaire tech guys.
They're playing Moneyball.
That all know numbers.
Yeah.
So all they're doing is just doing the numbers and said, all right, this is what we need. We need 35 threes. Like, well, no, it's the new owners that's coming in, not actually old basketball brains.
Okay, so here you go. Now Gil's a GM. What do you do with that? How do you turn the tide?
How do you turn the tide?
Yeah, flip that coin. Because you're thinking as a player, they're thinking as owners, money crunch or number crunchers.
And I'm gonna just add to that. I was talking to a good friend of mine, D. West, and he brought up a good point. He was like, why isn't former players at the helm of what we do best?
That was my hint.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because if you think about it, you go to school, the teacher's in charge. You know what I'm saying? Like, not your auntie, your mom, or somebody else. That's what they do. They're the best at what they do. Where you go to a lawyer or a doctor, they're the best at what they do. You know what I mean? They've been studying for so long. So when it comes to like training or when it comes to making front office decisions, you know what I mean? Why not have majority of former players in the front office because they know what's going on in the locker room. Mm-hmm. They know why a guy that's 0 for 12 is not shooting the ball really well. So to me, I don't know how you make that switch, but I think front office, they have to be secure with themselves and they gotta be willing to allow former players to help them make a joint decision. And the reason why I say joint is because they're still good at what they do. They're still good at their numbers, you know what I mean? Maybe we can't do what they wanna do when it comes to the books financially. Not to say none of us can't, but I just think it gotta be more of a joint effort between former players and people in the front office.
It's friends, friends hiring friends. Because you remember when we came in, it was probably still there. You're a player development coach. Did he player develop you anything? Nah, he was just an old dude that hung out with the team. He hung out with the team.
This is the seat that you're in now.
But you know what, to his point, I did, but it was Robert Pack, a former player.
But was he teaching you?
Yes, because because he was a player.
See, I had a player.
Good one.
I had a player. You had a good one. I had a player coach that didn't rebound one time for me. I didn't even he was part of the coaching staff. He wasn't part of the player staff. He wasn't.
No, I get
you know what I
you're
mean?
saying,
So I had to. My rebounders was Tim Conley, which is a GM. He was video coordinator.
Well, so he didn't play. Right?
No, he was a video
Exactly.
coordinator
So
who
that's
watched film.
different, yeah.
So he rebound. I got my own drills. I just need you to rebound. and then a kid who kept DMing me, like back then it was MySpace, wanted to be a ball kid. I was like, come on, be a ball kid. Put him on the ball kid, what's the name, staff. And he'd rebound for me 3, 4 in the morning, didn't care. That was my team of rebounders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, now you have the ability to get better. Like to ask the question, yo, Scottie, what did you do to be great? How is Scottie Pippen not on some front office coaching staff? Or like, why are you guys recycling the same failure? I call it failures.
Yeah.
You're recycling the same failures. There's a reason these guys can't win. They can't win. They keep dropping the ball. Yeah. Why do you keep hiring it? Yeah. It don't matter who they hire beside them. They have broken armor. And they need to fix it. Or let somebody come in and show them, this is why you keep losing in the playoffs.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to think. Well, you said that. Who's running the show now that are former players? The only guy that really came to mind, I know there's probably more, but Elton Brand in Philly.
Elton.
But when you came in, you had like Chris Mullin in Golden State. It just something changed. I think.
What's so funny is Chris Mullin
be perfect.
He was getting the job. He was training me on how to train. So so that's where my real training came from. Was those 2 years I was with Golden State, and Mullin will come down. We'll play full court 101, half court 101. Because he was still trying to stay in shape. Beat him in full court, of course. Half court, I couldn't stop this man. Yeah. Like I couldn't do nothing with that. He was just tearing me apart. But that's what you need. You need someone that's gonna challenge your John Walls, your Kyries, that's really gonna put work in. Because my thing was always this. I'm a scoring guard. But the people in my ear average 7, 13. What you did does not translate to me.
One thing you, analytical, can't comprehend is emotions from players and chemistry. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you can do numbers, but chemistry. To me, who are the biggest, what's the biggest reason for a team having chemistry on that team? Vets. Mm-hmm. Nobody pays attention to Jared Dudley when it comes to the Lakers, but to me, I guarantee you he's keeping that locker room together.
Behind closed doors,
Behind closed doors.
Yep.
And only a player will understand what he's doing. Yep. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes at practice that can deteriorate a team's chemistry. But when you have a good vet, and I played with one like Thaddeus Young was a good vet. Mm-hmm. Reggie Evans was a good vet. When you play with guys that are good vets, they're doing so many things to keep a locker room together. You know what I mean? Not, we need more threes, or we need more of this, we need more of that. Nah, he don't feel like playing with this player. That's what it comes down to. It's an emotion thing. It's something that you got to do to build that trust. And how can you bond that if you don't haven't experienced it as a player? So,
what even where you are now, Darren, what we're getting to here is also the role of mentorship. Mm-hmm. That's huge. If it's a vet to a rookie, think about it that way. I'm going to take you under my wing. But now even the space that you're in now with these young guys, you don't always have that as a player. Sometimes that can be a gift. Like, I wasn't even paying attention. This guy came into my life and he mentored me and put me on the right path. But do you think that's the most important thing you could do here with Pros Vision?
For sure. That's what it is. It's us as mentoring young players. And we're trying to help them to not get into the same trouble that we got as players. You always want the next generation behind you to be better. Mm-hmm. And for me, if I can tell one player just one thing, that whether it's in my personal life or something on the court, and they watched out for the loopholes, then fine. I did my job, you know what I'm saying? But, I just think that's missing. You know what I mean? Like, especially in the locker room, there's not that many vets on the team. But I saw it here. Like, we have some guys that are playing professional overseas ball, and they're helping a Payne, Watson. They're helping a Devin Askew. And so like, it's not just hearing my voice, it's hearing from the other guy's voice too. So I think that's big, man. Mentorship is very big with these young players because when you're young and as you know, like you think you know it all.
Yeah.
Like you think you got it all figured out and you're quick and you're quicker and you think you could jump higher. I mean, we have players right now that think they could beat me, you know what I'm saying? But then when they play, they're like, man, you not as quick, but it's like, it's only because I was you before you. Like, that's the only reason why, like, I'm doing what I kind of know what the move you're gonna make. I just don't do the move no more because there's no point doing the move. So to me, I think that's missing is the mentorship, and that's where I get a kick out of this.
The misconception of a troublemaker is he doesn't get wise, right? So, like when you try to go for a job and they use your past against you, right? Oh, you was this. Well, yeah, 25. Yeah, 25, hothead, you know what I mean? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, you're 38, 39, 40 now. You can teach the next 25, 26 what's gonna happen.
Yeah, for sure.
If you stay down this road.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's so worried about what their image is gonna look like if they bring this person in, It's like, no, that is actually the guy you want.
For sure.
Because I can tell you, don't go this route. Hey, I can tell y'all, don't, it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
One of you guys gonna get traded. Y'all sitting here not liking each other, and one of y'all gonna have to put your foot down, and it's gonna force a trade. You gonna get traded, y'all both gonna end up miserable. A player who's been there can tell you that.
And that's usually what happens.
All this fighting over the money, they ain't even worth it.
Yeah.
Y'all are too rich to be fighting over $500.
Yeah.
Y'all fighting over the same girl that y'all both not dating. If she dating both of y'all on the same team, who else y'all think she dating? So there ain't no point in even worrying about it and getting, only someone who's been through that can actually stop the next generation from doing it.
Yo, G, I was on the plane, and I'm not gonna say which team, but D West though, but I'm not gonna say which team or what players.
That's fine.
A couple players were getting ready to fight on the plane, and he was the coolest, calmest dude on the plane. And the fight was literally about to break out right in front of him. And he didn't pay no mind to the fight. I mean, he's just like in the zone doing some paperwork. And I'm like, D, like there's a fight about to break out. Like, and so I asked him about practice, like, yo, like you was just calm. He was like, man, D, they wasn't gonna do nothing. So I'm like, all right, so what do you mean? He said, man, usually fights in NBA, it don't really go down that way. So every fight that I saw in front of me from that far, it's like, oh, they're not gonna do nothing. And that resonated with me. And that's usually what happens. So like to Gilbert's, point is like, these guys that, that been through it, they see it all. It's just every now and then you have one or two good young players that listen and understand what you're saying. But for the most part, all these young players, they think they know what it is.
And that's what I said. And people wonder why the next generation is falling just like the previous generation. Because the previous generation, you're not bringing them in to stop. You know what I mean? Like if I was a franchise player who was at his height and didn't fail, I know how to stop him from falling.
That's sure.
You know what I mean? I know what to do. I know how to say, yo, don't do this. You know what? I used to work like this, but you can do this. You can add more value to yourself by adding this to your game. Because now I sit back and like, damn, I wish I would have did that instead of that.
For sure.
I get to reflect on that and give it to you. Like, I guess it's one of those things is like a gangbanger who has a son, he doesn't want his son to be a gangbanger.
Exactly.
That's the theory. You want him to be better than me.
Let me ask you this. Do you get satisfaction when you tell somebody those pitfalls and then they watch out for those pitfalls?
Yes.
That makes you feel good,
That makes
right?
you feel good.
That makes you feel like all the stuff you did, it's like, all right, cool. Like, at least I can tell somebody about it.
Yeah, because like when some person fall, all we can do is reflect on what if. Because that's all we do is we have our memories and our regrets and the things we did accomplish. And you know, when people ask me, yo, do you regret anything? No. Because I wouldn't be wise enough to stop the next generation from falling in the same pit hole.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? Like I had a mentor, you know, Larry Hughes, when he was there was no questioning, because when he did talk, you know, I can shoot 12 times in a row, and he didn't get the ball. His complaint wouldn't be about him. He'd be like, yo, big man ain't touched the ball in a while. If you want them to play defense to protect you, you might want to give them a bone or two. I know, but I'm on fire though. Well, you're gonna be fouled out of the game because you can't stop him. And I already got my hustle over here, so I gotta stop this guy. He gonna get you in foul trouble, you're gonna be sitting on the bench. Or you can give the big man the ball so he can be happy on the other end. God damn it, you're right. You know what I mean? Those were our conversations. You know what I mean? So when he left, I'm the big man now. I got my own rules. You know, but my rules is play mode. Someone's like, yo, they'll hear stories about me in locker rooms, and I'm like, well, y'all got to understand what, like my world was loneliness. All I'm doing is at home, watching film, playing video games, coming to the gym, working 5 hours, 4 or 5 in the morning, doing this. When I come to the gym and my boys are there, fun. It's fun time. Like, because I'm in there so much working, when I seen my friends, it's like it's PE. Like, y'all calling it practice when we get down there. Right now, it's the 15 minutes of PE. What y'all want to do?
Yeah.
What y'all want to do in here? You want to wrestle? You want paintball shooting? Yeah. And that's where it was coming from. It's like, so I told them, you would never catch me in the street doing anything because I'm at home or I'm in the gym. So when my friends came, it's playtime. That's what I didn't understand. Like, my brain didn't process that I didn't give you my work ethic.
Everybody else, yeah.
See, I have my work ethic, and now it's playtime, and I didn't give you the work ethic. So while you're trying to work, I'm trying to play. Yeah. You know, so I failed my youngins. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I didn't give my youngins the tools I had that made me great. Mm-hmm. I gave them the playful me. And, you know, like, so if I did regret something, it's regret that I didn't pass on my work ethic to that group. But I wouldn't know that I wouldn't know that if life didn't happen the way it happened. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
You wouldn't know that if you didn't go through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't.
And, you know, and that's something we can pass on down, you know, to the youth. Yeah. Like, you know, same thing with the parents. Oh, you know, I'd tell a parent, hey, your son is 8. The pressure you putting on to help you get out of the hood, that don't. This is right now at this age. You want him to fall in love with it, because it's only 2 ways to really be. Either the person loves it, or pain is pushing him to be great because he don't want to feel this anymore. Yeah. Something happened where it pushed him to.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So I said, you got 2 ways. You don't want him to not love this sport.
Yeah, I see that.
So let him love it. Let him have fun. Let him enjoy. Yeah. Wait till all the pressure's done, and then y'all have conversation. Yeah, like me and my son, we argue like we're teammates. Yeah. You know, because my thing is, I'm never gonna stop the dialogue by being a parent. Mm-hmm. Like, so, you know, if I'm telling him to shoot, and he don't like the way I'm telling him, we arguing. Like, what? Mm-hmm. That's why you try one-on-one, 1v1 me. And that's how we ended. One versus one then. Mm-hmm. If you good, beat me. 21-0. Now you ready to listen? I said, I ain't practice, I ain't playing. 21-0. What's happening? Because if I let him say something and then I throw the parent trump card,
it's not gonna work.
It kind of messes up the build. And I tell coaches, parents, the same thing. You have you have to play in two realms. You can't play in this realm, and then when you don't like what they do, you throw the parent trump card in. Because that parent trump card, they're gonna reject it every single time. You know, they're gonna, it's that old saying, like, if you tell me the truth, I won't get mad. You tell them the truth, they get mad anyway. Like, you know what I mean? And you don't want to throw that. So it's like it's trying to figure out how to play in the realms. Like, you know, like that's what I do. I watch, I learn, because even as a parent, coach, trainer, I have it all. So I gotta learn.
Speaking of messages, it's about that time. He always has a lot on his mind, but specifically for you, Ask Agent Zero, what do you want to pick his brain about?
Okay.
We all know you was a great scorer, right? I was a really good playmaker. Mm-hmm. I have my answers. I don't have an answer. I want to hear your answers first. What is more important to a team, a scoring point guard or a playmaker? Or a point guard, scoring point guard or playmaking point guard?
It depends on what your team looks like.
There you go. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Depends on what your team looks like.
Yeah.
So like somebody like Rondo,
Yeah.
right? You take him this year, he's a playmaker. You watch game 6, he was a scorer. Because he realizes LeBron's playmaking, I need to delegate scoring because we're having trouble scoring. So let me be a scorer. And if I need to make a play, I'll make a play. So I say usually the best playmakers are the best scorers.
Yeah.
But they're so used to giving everyone else the ball instead of just so I was taught this. And they said, so I had to watch Jason Kidd. So they was like, all right, you're a scorer. Watch Jason Kidd. And then look at how to score from his vision. Like, all right. So I'm watching Jason Kidd in the playoffs, throwing up the ball, doing this, running, fast, speed, like, and then I noticed the playmakers are touching the paint every time down, never giving up their dribble, probing, looking, sucking people in, passing it. I need to adapt that. I need to adapt that because now the game becomes easier. Because now I can see where he passes. So now when I hit the paint, I know, okay, make that pass. Next, if he hits that shot, next time I drive, he won't be here. You know what I mean? So now I'm looking at the game from your point of view.
Yeah, and that's dangerous. So I know that for me, personally, in my opinion, you're right. I think it's easier to become a scorer playmaker than a playmaker scorer. You know what I mean? Like you can't say Rondo do what Steph or Dame does. You know what I mean? But you can take a Gilbert or a Dame or Steph to do a little bit more playmaking, like a John Wall or Rondo. You know what I mean? And when you become a scorer playmaker, I think to me you're much more dangerous in the league than just a playmaker or just a scorer. You know what I mean? Because there's scorers in the league now that all they do is just score and they don't make their teammates better. And there's playmakers now, all they do is make, but then when it's time to score for your team, you know what I mean? And you're not really causing a double team on the pick and roll, then you're not really doing nothing. When everybody switches, what are you doing?
And that was more of our upbringing on the ideal of what a point guard is supposed to be.
Right.
So they used to tell us, well, the point guard makes everyone better.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I got older, I started realizing, wait, hold on. That probably was wrong. If you're making everyone better, that means they're actually not that damn good. Because if you have to do everything to get him open, that means he can't get open by himself. That means these guys aren't doing their job. They're saying here, hey, feed us all. If you don't feed us, you ain't good at what you do. Instead of saying, no, you work on your individual skills, you work on your individual skills, you work on your individual skills, and we play this game together, great. But prime example, I'll say it. That's why someone like Blake Griffin, you had Chris Paul feeding you every meal, driving in, breaking these guys down. You start at the three-point line, you run in, you get the dunk, you get the dunk, you get the dunk, you get the dunk. You're doing all these highlights. You remove Chris Paul, and we say eat. You don't know how to post up. You don't know how to create a double team. You don't know how to demand nothing because you never had to. You never hunted for yourself. So you take that playmaker off the court, or this playmaker gets tired, or this playmaker gets double. You don't know how to eat on your own. So when you look at why they didn't have, they got names, why they didn't have success? Well, in the playoffs, and when that game slows down and Chris Paul is being picked up full court, now he got to try to make the play. Then on offense, the guard is coming at him. He's done in the fourth quarter. He's done. We done tired this man out. Well, you don't know how to post. You don't know how to play. You don't know how to do this. You know, so you sit there and look at the roster like, the only person we got to worry about now is Jamal Crawford, trying to take the game over himself. You know, so now we're just gonna focus on Jamal and Chris Paul. Everybody else is dead meat once Chris Paul is tired. You know what I mean? And I'd say, well, score. Score. Your brain already sees passing. So for everyone to actually, like, to keep the balance in the game, the playmaker who's designed to play make has to be a threat scoring-wise. It came from the Magic Johnson era, where they didn't look at Magic Johnson how they look at LeBron. He's a 3, but because he can pass and he has the vision, we're putting the ball in his hand. Yeah. But he always had 2 guards. Yeah. Those 2 guards just became scorers and defenders, because just give it to Magic, give it to LeBron, everybody else just score.
It is beautiful to see. It's beautiful to see what you're doing here, and I want to get into one more thing. We'll get in on this, the adjustment, right? The lifestyle. And I thought of this as a coach, you got to be the first one in the gym, last one to leave type thing. As a player, you're on your own schedule in a lot of ways. Yeah. So that's a big adjustment. Yeah. So for you, what's the biggest adjustment, and what are you most at peace with about that?
What you just said, like you can't do everything as a player, like you said. You know, when you're the coach, you actually have to mean what you say. You know, when you're a player, maybe the best player or come in maybe a little bit late for whatever reason, and it may be okay, but the coach can't come in late. Yeah. The trainer can't come in late. So I was like, for me, that was an adjustment. Like, I have to be here on time if, you know, these guys that I'm training or helping out want to listen.
Yeah, I was the same. I remember my first game I had to coach. I'm walking in right before the game, like thinking like, oh, should I even give them the game plan yet? Wait, who are playing? They over there. Yeah. Did y'all watch them? Yeah. You know, because I'm coming in as a player or a father just 10 minutes before the game, not realizing I'm supposed to be scouting the team early to tell who is the shooter. You know what I mean? So when guys are hitting shots, I failed because I know he's a shooter now because he hit 5. You know what I mean? But I should have known that watching the game before.
For sure.
You know, that's adjustment.
And now if a player's late for you, you find it disrespectful. You realize they're on their time.
Yeah, and that's one of the things as experience. It comes back to all experience. You as a player, you know, if you want to be the leader of that team as a player, then you have to kind of set the example for everybody else. You know, we had a player that's probably one of our best players that we trained, but he was always showing up late. But we had young players getting here earlier before him. And I'm like, well, if we want this company to grow and we're trying to help these players out, then we need our best player to kind of set the tone and example. So we kind of had to talk to him about getting here early so our young players understand the importance of getting here early. Because I know when I saw my best player here, an hour or 2 hours before I got to practice, I was like, oh man, like he's serious. Like I gotta lock in. You know what I mean? Because I knew he was putting in the work. But then when you saw your best player getting late and he really wasn't working as hard as you, like man, he's just as good as me. Like I move over. Like I can do this too. You know what I mean? And it shouldn't be that way. Your best player has to set the tone.
Well, it starts at the top. And like you said, it's in good hands.
Starts from the bottom. It starts from the bottom. You got to remember, it starts at this age because if you can teach them and train them and get their minds
It starts with the leader. It starts with the leadership.
Once they come up, then they're already, because I remember with autographs, you know, like, have you noticed the person who got denied an autograph denies everyone autographs? Once he gets to the top, they're like, yo, remember that feeling? Yeah. And I said, look, I never denied an autograph because you never know who that person's gonna, that might be your next boss.
For sure.
You sitting there on your last leg and you sitting there and he just bought the team, right? He just bought the team and you looking for a job. That experience when he first met you is gonna dictate if he says yes or no. Yeah. And I tell people, like, listen, think about what you were when you were little and you was looking at, oh my God, that's you. Can I have your autograph? Takes 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Do it, get it on. He's gonna remember the rest of his life. And that might be a lifeline. You never know.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean? But that starts with the bottom, teaching them manners and, how to move. So when they get there, they already know how to move.
And that's the difference. This next generation, they have guys like you guys accessible to them. From the bottom on up, and then when you're at the top, go back and get back with the bottom. So there we go. Full circle. Well, Darren, we got to get to work. I know you got guys coming through here all day. We took a lot of your time.
It's all good. Man. I mean, we hope, more players come through. You know what I mean? Try to get the whole experience. We actually had, what's so unique about our situation, we're starting to have parents, fly with their kids from the East Coast just to train with us. And that means everything to me. So now it just ups my game. And Sean, Calvin, Paris, the guys that work with me, to do it at a high level. And I can't do this without those guys. You know what I mean? So now we moving every day the way we move. So
it takes a team. Keep it moving. All right, well, we're here at Pros Vision, Southern California. Darren Collison, Gilbert Arenas. I'm Mike Botticello. This has been No Chill with Gilbert Arenas. Catch us every Monday on the Fubo Sports Network at 8 p.m. Eastern, and we'll see you next time.